Rune Sauce. Kevin here. Why is it so cold outside? Well, once a year, the Earth rotates around the sun, and it also tilts on its axis, causing some scientific shit to happen, and it gets cold. We as humans, of course, have learned to adapt. Of course, creating sweatshirts, houses, and even blankets. But what about those dumbass things we call animals? Well, some animals aren't quite up to par yet with humans, but they still do have their methods of surviving. You've got squirrels, walruses, bears, cacti, moles. Moles. Like giant moles. The giant mole is a big, beautiful creature that lives underground. The magnificent creature eats throughout the entire year just so it can store food for the winter. But that just begs the question, is the giant mole worth doing?
Now, the first thing that I want to establish up front is that this is not a guide. If you want a really good guide on this, then go and watch Automelogy's video in the description down below. It is a very good guide on how to kill giant mole and everything you need to know about everything. And that's not what this video is about. This video is, of course, about seeing if the giant mole is worth killing. So the very first thing that I want to establish is that I do not have the Falador Shield 3. If you have the Falador Shield 3, then you would be able to locate where the giant mole is. Also, you would be getting the mole skin and the mole claws as a noted drop, which means that you would be able to stay here for a much longer time than someone that does not have the Falador Hard Diaries unlocked. If you don't have the Falador Hard Diaries unlocked, and you have the option to unlock them, then 100% I would say go and do it, because it would make killing the giant mole a lot easier. One thing you will also notice in my inventory is that I have Kandarin headgear. It's pretty much just serves as a light source that can't be extinguished because it's in the freaking helmet. Just going into the drop tables, this is what you can expect to actually get from the giant mole, and as you can see, there's not really anything good that you get. Like, there's no unique items that are really worth too much, but the point of doing the giant mole, if you're doing it for money, is the stuff that you get literally every kill, which is the mole skin and the mole claws. Also, you could get a nice drop of either an elite clue scroll, or you could get a nice drop of 100 U logs noted. I mean, they have like little nice incentives here and there, but overall, it's not really for that. You're doing it for the claws and the skin, because out of that, you can get bird nests, and bird nests are about 4.3k each right now. And if the giant mole takes for you, what, a few minutes to kill, at the very, very least, you are guaranteed 8k a kill. It depends on how much resources you actually use and what combat level you are, but for this I am just going to do it from the standpoint of being a maxed main first, and then second off I'm going to be doing it from the standpoint of just being a regular player. The first is that you could use the Darocking setup, which is pretty straightforward. You just get your HP down to 1 and then you just Darock them. You can get them in like 2, 3, 4 hits, whatever. Well, probably I think 3 hits at the very least, assuming that you hit really well every single time. The second being just a normal loadout. You can bring food, you don't need to bring prayer, you just bring normal armor. Although I would really recommend prayer, because if you have proselyte or you have a bunch of different prayer reserving things, such as a Helm of Nate is not, well, I think it is. If it's not, then I sound stupid. A Holy Blessing, which is a new clue scroll reward, as well as pretty much anything that will give you positive prayer bonus, but you don't have to actually have that. You could just have normal rune armor. I mean, the max hit of this boss is only 21. I mean, that's not really that strong in the long run. It's a pretty weak boss overall. And, I mean, I would just recommend prayer, though, so you don't even have to worry about it, because it doesn't hit too often, but prayer just makes it a lot easier. And prayer is relatively cheap to do this method with. And lastly, the third method to killing the giant mole is just by using ranged. Again, I would also recommend that you use prayer when you do it, though. The giant mole is weak to stab weapons as well as ranged weapons, so if you don't plan on using Darocks, then definitely get a weapon that has the stab or just, you know, ranged weapon in general. Just get them with these options. So assuming that you're a normal non-maxed RuneScape player and you have decent stats, I would recommend that you have at least 60 attack, 70 strength, maybe 70 range to actually kill this thing. Of course, also having the ability to protect melee, because that is a huge part of killing the giant mole. Again, just bring your best gear and just bring something that has the ability to use stab, but at a lower level, I would probably recommend that you just use ranged on the giant mole. Like, that's probably going to be your best bet if you don't have that great of strength or attack, because range can be pretty strong at lower levels. Like 60 range is a pretty strong level for it, but I would recommend at least 70 range. If you are going to use range, then I would just recommend that you either bring Diamond Bolts E or Ruby Bolts E as well. So with all of this in mind, it still begs the question, is the giant mole worth killing? Well, I could answer this question a few different ways, but they all come to the same answer. In my opinion, yes, it's absolutely worth killing because it is consistent money. It is a relatively easy boss. I mean, you can pretty much just AFK the thing. If you have the hard diaries unlocked, then you have the ability to get the items that you are constantly grinding for and farming for noted, so you don't even need to leave. You can spend a lot longer of a time down in the giant mole lair, and you can also have the perk of having the arrow be pointed towards it every time it digs. The average loot that you are most likely going to get an hour is at least 500k. The 270k figure is the base, like the bottom line of what you are going to make, because that's assuming you get very unlucky, like so often that you only get one claw and one moleskin every single time, which is pretty much just impossible to actually happen. You are going to get more than one at least once during the hour. The drops vary from 1 to 3, and that means that you are getting an extra 4.5k for every single extra moleskin that you get. So you could get at least 20k a drop, and that is not even including the actual drops that you get from it, as well as the seeds and the rings that you will get from these nests as well. So at the very least, I can't see you making anywhere less than 500k an hour at current prices of the nests. Depending on your combat level, your setup, and your efficiency, you can kill anywhere from 20 giant moles to 50 giant moles an hour. I would say that's somewhere around 250k to about 1 mil. I could say that it's going to be a bit more, but I don't want to really overestimate it. But you can make a lot of money from the giant mole. So it's absolutely worth it. It's a very easy boss, it's a fun boss, and it has a cool pet. So if you want to go for the pet and you can just make money passively as you do it, then I would say, yeah, it's worth it doing overall. And as always, thanks for watching.